Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Smith and welcome back to session 5 now of our RE learning about community. Now today we are going to be exploring the community of Sikhs and we're going to be learning about how important commitment plays to living in community with one another. But before we do that, can you just get out your lovely people paper chain that we made last session and have a look again? I've decorated mine now so it looks a little bit more fun, but I just wanted to remind you all about the value or the important bit of learning that we learned in the last session. I wrote on that, for me it was all about the loving our neighbours, so loving anyone around us. But there were lots from the Beatitudes, if you remember that word, Beatitudes, the laws or the rules that Christians follow. There were lots in there. So I wonder if you've put that same word or if you've added in any others. But we're going to be using our lovely people paper chain later, so keep hold of that. Now I'm just going to share with you what we will need for our learning today. So I'm just going to share the screen with you. Here we go. So that is what we're learning today, or in today's session. And if I can just move the page on, here we go. This is what you will need. 3 pieces of paper today. Again, a pen or a pencil, colours if you'd like. They make it a little bit more fun. And again, hold up that paper, the people paper chain that you will need for later. Go and get those things now, and then we'll crack on with our learning today. Fantastic. Okay, so today we're thinking about Sikhs, but before we do that, I want you to think about the word commitment. That's quite a big, hard word to think of. I'm just going to share with you the next slide. Commitment. What does that word mean? Have a think about that now. And what I'd like you to do whilst you're thinking, I want you to grab a piece of your paper and I want you to write, exactly like I've done on my screen there, the word commitment inside a bubble. Give yourself a couple of moments to do that by pausing the video now. Now, around the edge of our word commitment, I want you to think about what this word commitment really means. So you can use different colours if you'd like to. I've got a lovely orange pen there that I might start adding words to. But I wonder whether you can use maybe a dictionary or a thesaurus if you've got one to hand. I wonder if you can think of maybe some different words for commitment. And maybe what can people do to show that they are committed? What can they do? Maybe it's just being committed to a football team. Maybe it's being committed to their family or another hobby of some kind, maybe their religion or maybe a specific music group. Then I want you to think about maybe how people show commitment. Thinking about maybe, is it just the words they use or is it actions that they take? Maybe it's the way that they spend their money. Maybe it's how they choose what job they do. Does that show commitment? Does commitment always lead to action? Or is it just actually something that they just do by just talking about it? And then what people might give up to show commitment and why? Now, when I think of that, I think of Christians have a season called Lent leading up to Easter, after Pancake Day and up to Easter. And it's a time to show their commitment to God. They choose to give up things. So like chocolate or maybe going on social media, just to show that I'm going to spend an extra bit of time with God instead and show my commitment to him. So maybe you want to consider that and jot that down and write Lent. Fill your page with as many different things that you can think of about the word commitment. Don't worry if you haven't got many, but just give it a go. See how many you can pop round the outside of your bubble. Pause the video here to give that activity a go. Fantastic. Your mind maps are looking great. Now, when it comes to thinking about commitment, for Sikhs, that's really, really important, that word. Now, the Sikh Khalsa started when an event happened. It actually was quite a bit of a gruesome event. And if you want to find out more about it, it's definitely Fantastic mind maps, everyone. Now I'm going to share with you a story from the Sikh religion. Now, this is how the Sikh Khalsa started. Now, the Khalsa was is a really important group of Sikh people who really and truly showed their commitment to God. Now, this is there's a special ceremony that that Sikh people take part in before they are committed into the Khalsa of the Sikh community. And Sikhs celebrate a festival called Vaisakhi each year, where during this time, Sikhs remember a story from the life of the 10th Guru, who is called Guru Gobind Singh. And he was one of the ones who really asked the Sikh community to really show their commitment to others. So I am going to read this story to you now. It's a story written from the view of a person called Devinder, and I want you to listen carefully to what happened. And if you fancy watching a video clip of the story of the Khalsa as well, there is a video link there on YouTube. So do at the end of our session have a watch of it, just to get an understanding of really what commitment means to Sikh people. So this is Devinder's story. It's a piece of fiction from the Vaisakhi story. So it says, "Let me introduce myself. I'm a 14-year-old girl and my name is Devinder Kaur. Well, it is now. Let me tell you how it changed. Last month, it was a special festival for us Sikhs. Our guru, who is called Guru Gobind Singh, sent a message round to all of us to make a big effort to go to Anandpur for the festival. Our family had to walk for 2 days to get there, but I'm glad we went. You should have seen it. There were huge crowds and people all up the hill with a tent on the top. Our guru is a wonderful speaker. He gave us a speech that day that was to change all our lives. We stood quite far back, but I had a good view. He was reminding us about being committed to the Sikh path and the Sikh way, and ended up asking who would give something up for the faith. A bit like that word commitment that we were talking about. Who would give something up for faith? People offered money, time, and all sorts of different gifts, animals, and even a house. Sikhs are supposed to be quite generous. But then the guru lifted his head and spoke again. But who among you would give your life, your head, to show your commitment? And with this, he brandished the sword and his eyes gleamed. The crowds fell silent, shocked, for what seemed like ages. The breeze fluttered the tent. Then quietly a man stepped forward. I'm prepared to die for my faith, he said softly. The guru led him into the tent. The crowd stayed silent, and then there was a sickening sound from inside the tent, a bit of a thud. The guru came out again with blood on his sword and on his clothes. Oh dear. He called for another person willing to die for his faith. And a second person stepped forward and said, I will. The guru did this 5 times altogether, with the crowd going more and more uncomfortable, and he seemed to be inside for ages. Then the tent flap opened and the guru walked out. Behind him came the 5 men. Suddenly, the silence broke and everyone was gasping and crying and going crazy. At last, the guru got us to listen and praise the 5 men. We were all wondering what had happened inside and what he had said. Had the 5 men been killed and had somehow been brought back to life by a miracle? We didn't get the answers, but we did get a challenge. Guru Gobind Raj told us that he wanted more commitment from all of us. He named the 5 men as the beloved 5 and asked us to join him in becoming Khalsa. That means the committed people of Sikhs. He prepared a bowl of water in which his wife sprinkled sugar crystals. He sprinkled this amrit from the iron bowl onto the eyes and the heads of the 5 brave men, and each one showed their commitment. Even the guru himself bowed down to the 5 men. We shouldn't have been surprised, I suppose. He was a humble guru. He then gave them 5 symbols to wear and new names. He said Sikh men should add Singh, lion, to their names, and Sikh women should add Kaur, princess, to theirs. Can't really explain what we were feeling on the way home. Dad seemed very quiet. My sister was quite tearful, but we've all decided we're going to be much more committed than we have been before. It was a great day, very emotional, but a very great day. So now the Guru is called Guru Gobind Singh, and my name is Devinder Kaur. Sorry, Devinder Kaur. So that's pretty impressive. Those 5 men willing to give up their lives to show commitment to the community of Sikhs. Now, I wonder, just give yourself a chance to think about that story. What was one of the key moments there, and how might you have felt if that was you being set that challenge? Pause the video here and just take a bit of a moment to think. Now, look back at your mind map with that word commitment. I wonder, is commitment to God different from other kinds of commitment? How? Why is it different? You can add any thoughts to your mind map if you'd like, even add some thoughts about the commitment ceremony. And it mentioned in the story about the men being given, 5 symbols. And you can see it on the screen that I'm sharing with you, which you might have seen from our Odd One Out game. So we've got the kirpan, which is the, if I hover over with my mouse, it's like a dagger, and that's what the people who joined the Khalsa received. You've got the kara, which is like a bracelet that they have to wear. When they look at that, they look at the everlasting love of God. They believe him being all and everlasting. They have to grow their hair long, and they wear it up in what's called like a turban. And then you've got a special comb that they put in their hair. All things that show their commitment to God and to the Sikh faith. Thank you for adding to your list about commitment. I find it inspirational, the way that the Sikhs choose to live, particularly those who go through the Khalsa. Now we're going to focus on some of the promises that the Sikhs make when they join the Khalsa. So here are some of the names of the objects that I've already talked you through today. So the turban's actually called a kesh. The kirpan, which we've talked about with the dagger. You've got the kanga, which is that comb. The kara, which is the everlasting bracelet. And then the kachera, which are a pair of pants, basically. And it's so important because it says here that those joining the Khalsa make these 5 promises. And the very first one is to wear those 5 objects. We talked a few sessions ago about symbols being so important. Every time they put on that kesh, or every time they see their kirpan, or every time they look at their kara, that's reminding them of the huge commitment they have made to God and to the Sikh faith. They've also got to follow the teaching of the 10 gurus and the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the everlasting living guru, which is their sacred text. To accept responsibility for service to the Khalsa, and we'll look a little bit more at service in a minute. To abstain from alcohol and tobacco, and to make sure that they are respecting women, and to work hard and to give to charity. That sounds very similar to some of those beatitudes that we were thinking about last time when we were looking at the Christian faith. So I wonder, what sort of lifestyle do you think a devoted Sikh would live today? I want you to think now, and you're going to do some writing for me. If you had to make 5 promises, what would they be? How do you think these promises would affect your life on a day-to-day basis? So on a piece of paper, write down 1 to 5 and have a go at writing those 5 promises that you would make. Pause the video here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and recording them. I think making promises and sticking to them is a great way of building up community. Now it's your turn to look back at your people paper chain. So we had our one from the Christianity. Choose another person now and think about what is important in community for Sikhs. So what have we learned from the Sikh faith today? I wonder, I'm definitely going to write the word commitment on mine because I think that's really important. I'm also going to write service because I think serving others is really important from what I've learned about them. And I'm also going to put the word symbols as reminders, which I think is also really important to Sikhs. I'm going to write the word Sikh on here so I can remember when we look back at our people chain. So here's what I've done as my way of reflecting. So why don't you pause the video here and do your own bit of reflecting. Great reflecting, everyone. In our next session, we'll be continuing to explore Sikhism and how and what it can teach us about community. And if you like food, then our next session is definitely one for you. Thank you for spending time with me today and see you next time. Bye.